the process of this jury has been extremely well run. It was extremely neutral. There were a lot of appropriate categories for all the different segments, which I thought was very good. And then within each category, there's large and small. So I think this is exactly how, the thoughtful manner in which CSR work needs to be evaluated. So, kudos to CSRBOX for doing it this way. And of course, for having a very eminent jury. It was an absolute privilege to be part of those discussions. The second point I wanted to make was that what became evident from a lot of the presentations by the corporations, I was participating in the large corporations, was the very strategic way in which folks are thinking about CSR, right? CSR law has been around for some time, and sometimes it's just seen as a additive property, that there's philanthropic capital, and now we have additional CSR capital, philanthropic capital because of the 2% rule. But it's not just about the financial resources. It's also about the human resources and the accountability and the business-like thought process that the private sector brings. So CSR should never just be seen as just extra, money only, but a more strategic thought process. So, people have over the years been keen to see that more strategic use of CSR. So it was nice to see that. And I think when the winners are announced, and in some of the specific examples that I was fortunate to see in my jury sessions, you could see that some of these companies are now starting to link CSR to their brand, to their sector that they're operating in, to their customer segments. At the risk of not giving away the winners, I won't give examples, but I think when the winners are announced, you'll see that. There were some companies who are not restricting their CSR to only those geographies where they are physically present, where they have factories and assets. It's okay to do that, but it's much more strategic if you have a focus on a particular customer segment and you're able to go all over the country and focus on those customer segments. And ultimately, if all of you are familiar with impact investing, right? That's the space that I have been in, which is using private capital to really build startups and SMEs, which are impacting the masses in a for-profit business model that is commercial and sustainable. So CSR has a big role to play there also. So it was good to see that CSR is becoming more and more open to what we call impact finance, which is not just traditional philanthropy, but impact investing and blended finance, this notion of impact bonds, and essentially using private and public capital and philanthropic capital together in a combination. So one leverages the other, rather than seeing all of these sources of capital as different segments. People talk about the 4-lane development highway, right? What is that highway? It's the smallest is actually impact investment, which is about $1 billion per year, but that gets talked about the most because that creates all these amazing startups. The second is actually philanthropy and CSR, because that's much bigger. And the third layer obviously is the government, right? The government social sector budget would be much larger than that. So how do these three types of capital work with each other and leverage each other? And this is what impact finance offers. And it's good to see that now with the new CSR law amendments, many of these things are possible, outcome funding and so forth. So I think with this context, coming back to the companies, I just want to commend CSRBOX once again for running this extremely robust and interesting process where so many different examples of companies were able to come together, present in a very proper way what they're trying to do, with an extensive list of jury members like ourselves, and all of us grilling them and asking them difficult questions. And I must say, all of them really stood up to the mark. So it was really hard to judge, to be honest. And then of course we did that, because the criteria were so nicely laid out for us on all the different attributes. And then of course we also applied our intangible criteria. It wasn't just that we gave him a check score on those 5 criteria. We also tried to see who's got the most coherent pitch, who's presenting it in the best way, who seems the most authentic. So with all of that, I'll pause now, and very excited to see the announcement of the winners. And thank you all very much for inviting me to be part of the process.